Hi everyone. So I'm Chrissy O'Hara. I'm the CFO of Soft Ledger. Thanks for joining today. We're going to go over our new feature called Soft Ledger Pay. It's a payments processing platform that allows you to invoice your customer and receive payments all within Soft Ledger. Okay, so the agenda for the webinar. First, I'm going to give you an overview of the processing workflow and the associated transaction fees. Next, I'll walk through the application process for setting up a merchant account in SoftLedger Pay. Then we'll go through the steps to set up payment processing in your SoftLedger tenant, and I'll do a live demo in a demo account. We'll have time for questions at the end, and I'll stop after I go through the application process in case you have any questions there. So I'll stop those two times. If you have questions throughout, though, you can just drop them in the chat of the Zoom, and I'll get to them during those two breaks. Okay, overview of payment processing workflow and fees. So the top part of the slide shows kind of how the workflow goes with Soft Ledger Pay integrated into your Soft Ledger tenant. First, you'll invoice a customer the same as you would regularly in Soft Ledger. The difference is that once the integration is set up, there's a payment link within the email that your customer gets. So then your customer can click the link, go to pay you. The funds go into your merchant account in Soft Ledger Pay, and at the same time, the invoice in your Soft Ledger tenant will be marked as paid. Within a day or two, Soft Ledger Pay will then transfer those funds to your regular merchant bank account. The bottom part of this slide shows our fees. So it's 2.95% for credit card transactions plus 35 cents per transaction. For ACH, it's 0.35%, which I believe is, less than half than some of our competitors. So that's pretty good. Even better, it's pay as you go. There's no monthly fees. And all this is just included in your regular Soft Ledger subscription. Okay, so how do you apply for a merchant account? First things first, let us know you want one. So email us at support@softledger.com and we'll send you the link to the online application. Once we receive your completed application, your merchant account should be set up within 72 hours. You have the option to apply for credit, debit card payments, and ACH, or you can pick one or the other. If you think you may want to give your customers both options, we recommend you apply for both at the onset, as it's much faster than having to add one of the payments later. It's just easier when you first set it up because it's actually two separate applications, but we've kind of streamlined it in the online application we send you. Then below here, I have a list of the information you'll need about your company, and then on the right side is documents to upload that you'll need handy while you're applying for the merchant account. If you've ever opened a bank account, it's the similar kind of stuff. And so, it is a little tedious, but the processor needs to do like a full underwriting analysis of your business since they take on some of the transaction risk. In order to avoid delays, take your time filling out everything and make sure you're consistent and accurate. Like if you put in that your average single transaction amount is 10,000 and then you upload a CSV that shows it's 500, stuff like that, just, kind of careless inconsistencies does make, the process delayed more. They have to go back and ask you questions and also could raise some red flags. So even though it's a little annoying, I would take your time and just make sure that everything's, accurate, complete, consistent. And then one last thing on the information for bank account information, make sure that you provide a bank account that has a balance. I've definitely done this in the past where I'll set up a payment processing account and then set up a new bank account that I want that to link to and it doesn't have any funds in it. That's really what they're using for the underwriting. They want to make sure that you have enough reserves in your cash balance to be able to refund a customer because ultimately the payment processor then would be responsible for that if you can't cover it. So just make sure that you link it to a bank account that has a material balance, whatever, suits your business needs for if you need to refund a customer. Okay, so application process FAQs. Can I have multiple entities, Soft Ledger locations linked to one Soft Ledger Pay account? So no, unfortunately, again, because of the legal risk and the underwriting involved, it has to be a one-to-one relationship. Can I have multiple bank accounts linked to one Soft Ledger Pay account? Again, unfortunately, this is also a no. It does have to be that one-to-one, just due to the process of the fund of the flow of the funds. Also, you wouldn't really want that because then that would cause delays if they have to like decide which bank account it's going to or wait for you to do something. So that also has to be a one-to-one relationship. Can I create multiple soft letter pay accounts under one soft letter tenant? Yes, so this one is a yes. So if you have multiple entities in your organization that send out invoices, you can have multiple merchant accounts that all tie into that one tenant. They are separate applications that you have to do, but you can do them all at the same time. And then they should all be ready within that 72-hour kind of window. What if an entity doesn't have any owners over 25%? So on this previous slide, if you saw this, part of the information they need is information about any owners that own over 25% of your legal entity that you're applying for. Obviously, that's a high threshold. So what if you don't have any? They need to have like one decision maker on the application. So a lot of times that comes in the form of a managing member if you're an LLC or a general partner if you're a partnership. If you're not sure who to put or what entity to put, I would just consult your legal or compliance department at your company. But again, they will need one, even though obviously a lot of companies don't have a single owner that owns over 25%. Okay, so I'll pause there and see, does anyone have any questions on the application process? Again, if you think of ones later, then you can drop them in and I can get to them at the end as well. Um, okay, looks like we're ready to keep moving. Okay, so I'm going to run through a couple of points on the setup in Soft Ledger Pay and your tenant, and then I'll hop into the demo. So once your application is approved, you'll get an email from Soft Ledger Pay to set up your account. You'll log in and see this home screen here. So it has a dashboard. There's a lot of reporting in here that you can go through. The only thing you really have to check when you're first logging in is that on the left side under payments, it has the two methods that you applied for if you applied for both. Gateway's credit card, ACH is obviously ACH. So really just log in and make sure that if you applied for both, they're both there. If not, reach out to us at support@softledger.com. Now, in your soft ledger tenant, there's only a couple steps you need to do to make sure the integration is set up and you're ready to go. So, and again, I'll go through these in the demo account, but you'll want to log in and then go to admin and integrations. You'll see soft ledger pay and it should be connected. Once your merchant application is approved, we go ahead and turn that on. So there shouldn't be anything you have to do, but just make sure, double check that you see connected. Then on that same screen, oh, sorry. Yep, on that same screen, you'll select which general ledger account you want all the deposits to be booked to from Soft Ledger Pay. So I recommend creating a new general ledger account, called Soft Ledger Pay Merchant Account or something like that. Since this is a new like asset account that your company actually owns, much like a bank account, it also helps to reconcile payments at the end of the month. And let's say your customer pays you on the 29th, and then Soft Ledger Pay sends it to your merchant bank account on the 2nd. Well, if your financials on the 30th, you can leave that balance in there and it kind of more accurately reflects your cash position. So after that, really just again, all you should have to do is select that one account. Steps 3 and 4 are just if you've never used our AR module before. And so I'll show you how to do that as well, which is set up your invoice templates and then kind of confirm any customer information you have that's needed on invoices is up to date in that customer profile. All right, with that, let me stop sharing there. Okay. So here's our demo account. The first thing I'm going to do is go into admin. integrations, and here's that Soft Ledger Pay integration I was talking about. So you can see it's green, it says connected, perfect. And then you click this configure button. This is where you select whatever GL account you'd like to use. Oh, and one other thing I didn't have in the slides, but I'll mention is that if you want like your logo or your address or anything else to update that information for what you want presented on your actual invoices, where you do that is in financial and locations. So in here, you can go into all of your locations, change the logo, update whatever you want the name to be, and then address and all, so on and so forth. So I would just make sure if you haven't used our AR module and you've been a longtime Soft Ledger customer, just making sure that that all looks right. Then in accounts receivable, that's where all your customer profiles are. So we're going to be sending an invoice to ABC Corp. So you would want to go in here, make sure the email's right, everything like that. You can pop it open too, and then here is where you put in their address. They might have multiple addresses like billing and shipping. So you want to make sure everything in here is lined up. And then so we'll go to the actual invoice templates, which are in admin templates. And so whenever you sign up for Soft Ledger, we have these default templates that you can use for any of the document objects, so bills, purchase orders, etc. So we do have that default invoice, but you can see I made this ABC Corp. So you can also make unlimited templates for like different customers. They might want it a different way, or you might have different business lines that you send customer invoices out of that are just kind of different, and you want to set them up differently. You can have unlimited drafts and different types of templates to use in here. So this is where you can edit how it looks. So you see the logo, all this stuff up here. You'll see all these like plus and minus buttons. So we can do a plus here and maybe, I have a billing address for this, but maybe you also want to add in shipping. And then so we can go down here, maybe we want the customer name again, and then shipping address, and then you just click submit. You can also see up here, I have office location. So that's a custom field. And if you're not familiar with custom fields in Soft Ledger, they're super useful. You can put them onto almost any object. I use them a lot in like customers. I'll put in, like ARR or renewal dates, stuff that doesn't really go in journal entries. But then I can use the analytics dashboard to like pivot it and make all sorts of graphs. And so the same is true for like invoice custom fields. So maybe this office location, this is something that this particular customer asked you for, but it's not really like an important data point for your books and records. So you could have it as a custom field on invoices. It'll show up here in the template, and it'll also show up on every new invoice you go to create. And then down here too, a lot of people like putting their bank information here, and this is kind of like a text box, free form, put in how to remit payment. It's pretty standard. Okay, so let's go to issue an invoice. So here we'll select our customer, and then the template here is where you choose which one you want to use. So select ABC Corp. If you do select the wrong one, because it defaults to default, that's also a field that you can edit before you issue the invoice, which is nice. It's not like you have to delete the whole thing and start fresh with a different template. You can just change that in the editing fields before you actually invoice it to the customer. Okay. So here we'll just put services, and then we'll make it 325. Let's kind of look at everything here. Looks good. Submit. Okay, and then so when you open up the invoice, you can check the PDF here. So this will be attached to the email that you send your customer. Oh, we forgot office location. Okay, so let's go back. Edit here. And we'll put in UK office, save. Okay. There you go. So now it's generated office location, UK office. Again, that custom field that this specific customer wanted. So when everything looks good, you can then go to this button to issue it. So this will show you the preview. This will be what your customer sees. And so on the first one, make sure that you see that this orange pay this invoice, that's the payment link. And so prior to setting up the SL Pay integration, your customers don't have that button. So that's how you like one final check just to make sure it's all connected and they're going to get that payment link. Okay, so we have issued and emailed it. And so once you do that, you'll see here this payment link appears. This is that orange button. So once they click that orange button, it'll then take them to this screen, and this is how they'll pay you. So you have credit card or ACH, because again, we were set up for both. They also have the ability to save their card and enable auto pay. Do know that once they do that, when you click issue an email, then their card will automatically be charged. All right, so that. And there you go. So it's paid here. Now, when we go back into our invoices, let's do a refresh. And there you go, paid there. So perfect. We can go to the reports too, and you can see there's that SL Pay merchant account that I set up to record all my deposits in. Um, Accounts receivable properly has been credited. And so we're all ready to go. And so now I'll show you on the Soft Ledger Pay side. So again, I spend most of my time in Soft Ledger using this. We're also building out a bunch of reporting functionality too within Soft Ledger just to make it easier for everyone. But here's where you would log in to see the actual transactions in your merchant account. It's very similar to Stripe if you've ever used that. Okay, so again, this is that menu on the side that I showed you about that has gateway for credit cards and ACH. So here we can see the transactions. That 325 is right there. So we just captured that. So that's listed. It also has a bunch of reporting here that you can use. In this other section, that's where you have a lot of different types of reports you can generate and export to Excel that show payouts and all of that kind of stuff to do your month-end reconciliations. And yes, so that was actually all I had. Pretty quick. Does anyone have any questions now that we've gone through the demo? And again, if you do have any as you're setting up, obviously we're here to help. And always just email support@softledger.com or use our Fin AI agent guy and your subscription. Okay, no questions. Perfect. Made my job easy. But wait. So the question is, the reconciliation seemed really quick from when the customer paid and when marked in soft ledger showed the invoices paid. How long does it take to mark as paid? So it is that quick with credit cards. With ACHs, the problem is with those, which you know probably from using any other payment processor or even just having a customer pay by ACH, that's usually 2 to 3 days before it settles. So we mark it as paid once it settles, not when the customer initiated it. So I'm glad someone asked about that because that's also kind of when you would be going in soft ledger pay is maybe there's, kind of an ACH that hasn't been marked as paid. It's month end, you're seeing what AR is outstanding, and then you can go in there and see if someone's paid by ACH and we're just waiting for it to settle. And that's when soft ledger will mark it as paid. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, I want to thank everyone for hopping on today and letting us show you our new Soft Ledger Pay feature. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us, and we look forward to continuing to help you with your books and records. Thank you.